Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Some of you already know exactly what this video is going to be about, and for those that are new, hey, how's it going? My name's Nicole and this is my channel.
2, 3, funky.
This is going to be part 3 in my self-love series that I've been doing on my channel. I just recently posted my self-love trailer to represent exactly in a whole what all these videos are about, but I'll also link down all the videos in the description box below. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into today's video topic, the topic of being alone. Now, before I really dive into this, I just want to say, I want everyone who's watching this to understand, I know that I'm not alone. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm going to be talking about alone and the feeling of loneliness. I don't even know like how to talk about this. I don't feel like I've ever talked about it outside of like talking to a best friend about it. I feel like if me sitting here in front of this camera right now and talking about it could help anybody else who's going through something similar or exactly it, why not share what I've been through and things that helped me get through it. Just to give some background of what my life's usually like, the majority of the time, except for right now, I'm usually never home. And I say that not because of my really busy schedule. I do school full-time, I work part-time. I invest a lot of my time at church when I'm not at work or school. If I wasn't at work, if I wasn't at school, if I wasn't at church, I also was always trying to spend time with my friends. I didn't realize like there's like 2 bad impacts that me basically never being home has on me. One, it really drains me mentally because if I'm always busy nonstop and I never give my chance to rest, if I don't take time out to be by myself, be at home and rest, I am literally going to be drained, like mentally, physically, emotionally. I'm not going to have the energy to do anything else. And then second, I didn't realize that I was dealing with fear of being alone issue. My never being home was in a way me avoiding having to accept, spending time by myself. Didn't realize that something like this was bothering me until one night when I was at one of the events at my church. Something about the entire night, like I was having fun, I was really involved, and I was surrounded by all these people that I knew, like some that I knew genuinely cared about me, some that genuinely loved me, and yet I felt empty inside. Like, how could you possibly feel alone, Nicole? You were surrounded by a bunch of people. So it just really started to hit me, and it got me in a really funk of a mood that night. For some reason too, like I was like helping them clean up after the event. 2 of my good friends, they were talking about like making plans to go somewhere, and they asked me, they're like, oh, do you want to come? For some reason I said, yeah, sure, why not, or else I would go home and cry. And they both looked at me like they had to like double take, I think, like what I just said. Like they had to really like process it because they're like, wait, what? So I pretty much like went to the side and I like explained to them like, it's crazy, I don't understand what's wrong. But so basically one of my friends suggested that if I was really going through such hard times and I couldn't understand what I was feeling, that maybe I should try going to therapy. I pretty much like spent like the rest of the night like just being fully honest. Like I talked it all out with my friends, and then everybody like left and went their separate ways, and like I stayed in my car and I let out a good cry. It was a really hard night for me that night. I cried in my car and I kind of just let it all out of me. Like I didn't want to hold it back anymore. I just was like sitting in the car like saying like, God, what's going on? Like after a while of just like debating it back and forth, like can I afford to go to therapy? Finally just sat down and said, you know what? I started taking Financial Peace University at my church, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna rebudget because my mental health is important. I want you to know that your mental health and your emotional state and your physical well-being is more important than anything else. So I rebudgeted. I went to therapy. I learned quite a lot. Just like a disclaimer, this was a therapist I was going back to who has known stuff about me in the past and could help me walk through that. There was 2 things that I really like took away, like 2 big things that helped me with the whole issue of being alone. We talked about something called a hero's journey, and I really related to it because if you take the time to watch it, and I highly recommend it because all of us, like we all go through a hero's journey. Basically the video breaks down each step of the hero's journey. It was able to help me realize the stage I was at in my life was the crisis, and I was able able to connect things that I was doing in my life to the certain stages of the video. My crisis was my fear of being alone. Another thing that really stuck out to me that my therapist showed me is something by Erik Erikson. It's the stages of psychosocial development, and it basically shows you the stages of your psychosocial development that you go through. You had to achieve one in order to go to the next to achieve it. So kind of like levels. So we see that young adult, the stage of development is intimacy versus isolation. And so we started to make connect the dots of me being so afraid of being alone because I didn't, in a sense, achieve the development and my social well-being of my identity. And we say this because we were working so hard on Nicole finding her voice. Someone's home early and I'm in the middle of filming. This is awkward. New background. So I'm upstairs now in my room and I don't really remember where I left off. So with that, the best thing that I could do going forward was spend more quality time by myself. And the purpose of this was to get to know me. I was in a really long relationship before all of this, and then even before that one, I was in another really long relationship. Not spending any time by myself and just being single caused me to not really know myself and know my self-worth. You need to know what your self-worth is and love yourself fully and love everything about yourself before you go into a relationship. And so I started spending a lot more quality time with myself. I even started, I'll show here, I even started on my phone. I take notes of things that I enjoy doing, things that I like to eat. It's kind of like dating somebody, except you're dating yourself. What do you like to do for fun? It's basically like that, but with yourself. And it's not an easy process. And it's not something I can say, oh, I was able to recognize this and I've been working on it and I'm fine. No. It takes work. I just had to start being mindful of things like that. The more I started spending time alone with myself, especially the more time I was spending, I started spending even more time reading my Bible. It helped me start to find contentment in being by myself. Now we're in quarantine and I'm really spending a lot of time with myself, and I realized I love it so much. Now, with that being said, I did mention that I spent a lot of time in the Bible. I was reading my Bible more, and what I wanted to read real quick is one of my favorite stories. It's in the book of Matthew, chapter 14, and this is when Jesus was walking on the water. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" I've heard this story so many times, taught in so many different ways, and each and every time they were taught were in different moments of my life that really impacted me. The first time I ever heard this story was in Bible study, and it brought me to tears because it's basically a story of encouragement. It's a story to challenge and to challenge us to walk on water, walking into the unknown. Peter had no idea before he got out of the boat that he was going to be able to walk on water. All he knew was that Jesus was calling him into something he had no idea about, and he listened, and he obeyed, and he went and walked on water. Peter didn't sit there in the boat and say, should I? You think I'm gonna be able to stand on the water, guys? He didn't look at the other disciples that were in the boat with him and say, you guys think I should do this? And so the point of the story, it's that it's encouraging because it encourages us to walk into the unknown. If Jesus is calling us to something, we need to trust him and walk into it. And then we have the part when Peter saw the wind, he grew afraid and began to sink out and cry. When Peter came out into the water and went towards Jesus, he was keeping his focus on Jesus. The moment he took his eyes off of Jesus and saw the wind and saw the storm, and he freaked out and he had to cry out, "Lord, save me." And so what does Jesus say? "You have little faith. Why did you doubt?" Basically meaning, why did you take your eyes off of me? Why didn't you just keep walking? Why did you look around at your surroundings, get afraid? Because the moment you get afraid, when you're fearful, you're doubting. And you just need to if you keep your eyes fixated on Jesus, he will protect you. Peter said, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. Immediately Jesus saved him. And he will always do that for us. But the one thing I love about this story, and it's just so encouraging because it challenges us. If Jesus is calling us to something, so for example, me, and my walk, Jesus was calling me to be comfortable in my season of singleness, to be comfortable with being by myself. And I needed to embrace it. I needed to keep my eyes on him and say, okay, Lord, if this is your will for me, I need to embrace my single season. I need to be comfortable with being by myself. I will do it. Basically meaning, like, when we go through tough times, when we face trials, when we face the crises, it's meant to build our characters. We're not meant to stay in the boat. We're meant to get out and grow. And so with all that being said, it wasn't an easy thing for me to go through. The one thing I can say is just fear is never sent from God. It's such a big world out there, and it can be so easy to feel alone. I hope by me sharing this, it helps anyone listening, makes you feel a little bit less alone. Yeah. I think this is where I'm gonna end this video for now. If you did like this video, if any of the things that I said were helpful, or you just appreciated, or you just enjoyed this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching it. So if you made it all the way to the end of the video, please comment down below #self-love, or you can say you're not alone, and I will see you guys next week.